The Unison Orchestra began back in March when Laura Cartman came to me and said, Brad, what are we going to do during COVID?
It was, I think, second week of March during the pandemic.
At that point, everything was shut down. She was writing Lovecraft Country.
And I knew it needed a big orchestra, and I knew the entire world was going on lockdown. So it posed a little bit of a problem that needed a solution.
How are we going to do this? I want a real orchestra. So we got to thinking and we went, okay, really the only way to do this is to use musicians at home.
How can we have an online orchestra, have everybody in their own spaces, completely protected?
Not every musician, unfortunately, at the time, had a home recording setup. So that was part of the beginning of all of this, was how do we get musicians set up?
I would say probably the biggest hurdle to doing home studio recording is figuring out the equipment.
But this really gave me the opportunity to sort of figure out my home studio.
Help them with acoustics and help them with mic placement and help them with, setting levels right and all the rest of that stuff. So as a mixer trying to figure out how to tie all of this stuff together, it was really important to me to come up with standards. Everything was ready, so literally they could open up one episode, 101 and hit the record button, and it worked out really, really well. I don't know of a musician who wasn't really pleased with the way that we delivered things to them.
Shout out to Brad. Thank you so much for all your help, man. I wouldn't have been able to learn Pro Tools that fast without you.
Which I think is really important, because you don't want the musicians to be struggling with technology. That's not part of their gig. They just are supposed to play. The musicians did a spectacular job and really sound as if they were playing together, which is really the key that we were trying to get to.
And you just can't imagine that it could all come together, but it really did.
Brad has done a gorgeous job setting up members of the orchestra so that you have some sort of simulation of what it is to be in a room. There are so many cool things about writing for this band. First of all, you have to rethink orchestration. So normally when you're writing for orchestra, you think of the first violins being one group, and then the second violins being below them, and then the violas being below that. But when your first violinists are the same violinists as your second violinists, you don't want to do the normal stuff that you do with the first and second violins, right? You don't want them in unison for more sound. Sort of where they are in terms of register, in terms of what's high and what's low, is no longer relevant at all, right? So I started writing these incredible lines that if I needed support for the first violins, I would use the violas, which I never would have done before.
So that's really what we were trying to get to, an efficient system that ran from the composer through to the music prep team, through to the musician, back to some editorial, cleanup, and all the rest of that stuff, then finally gets to me, back to me as a mixer. So that's really a big part of what Unison Orchestra and Noise Alchemy offers.
What I love about Unison is that everybody is safe. Everybody is in their own space, and as much as we miss being together right now, we need that.